Are we good?
That's
that was quite an entrance.
Hey, that's how we're going to start doing it. How's everybody doing?
Excited to hear you sing, Chuck.
I know. I've been working on it. After watching Ziggy last night, man, I feel like I can do this. Hey,
I saw he had the same video pan that you got. I was like, whoa, he must have copied that from Chuck.
Man, so Peter, did Ziggy Marley, when he was on, did he really donate any proceeds, all that?
Yeah, so in December, I kept trying to think of something cool we could do. I'm like, man, I wish we could do something as a company to support charity because we can't have our annual party.
Right.
And so just through talking to friends and stuff, one of my best friends, his brother has that Life Rolls On Foundation. He got in a surfing accident when he was 17. So started that foundation and it's done really well. So when I was talking to him, he's like, you want Ziggy? I'm like, do I want Ziggy? Yeah, right. Honestly, I thought, yeah, right. And he said he thought he could get him. So I was like, okay, well, that'd be awesome to do a charity concert. So we gave half the money to Ziggy's charity and the other half to Life Rolls On. And
man,
that whole thing was given it. I mean, Ziggy's amazing because you think about it, they haven't done any concerts. So it's not like they're making a ton of money or anything. Yeah. He did it for charities.
Yeah. The coolest part, Peter, honestly, for me was the messages in his songs last night. Like the messages he's putting out to the world. I see Valerie like shaking her head, Gardner. I mean, just everything he was talking about was just, it's just all about paying it forward and living your best life and just being a good person. And that was super cool, man. I mean, I thought I was only going to tune in for a while, and even some of the older people in our company, man, and they were glued to it. They were loving on it. Great job, man. That was fantastic.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Thank you. This teamwork couldn't have done it with everybody else. So.
Yep. Teamwork makes the dream work. So, hey, Peter, we were super excited. I talked to Peter Parnegg. Is Peter on yet? He is.
Yes, sir. Yes.
And Peter he moved some stuff around because he's got some new material, and everybody out there loves Ninja Sales. I mean, for those of you guys that don't know Peter Parnegg and Ninja Sales, I think it's the coolest way to do real estate. It's selling without selling. It's being authentic. It's not about buying a million leads and trying to convert. And if I call this person back,
you muted yourself, big boy.
Oh, I'm muted. Oh.
I know you're muted.
Sorry, Chuck, I did that to you.
Oh, okay. That's okay. I'm not sure the last thing you heard, but the cool thing I was saying about Ninja Selling is just, it's not selling. It's not, buying 5,000 leads and trying to convert 100 and calling them a million times and texting them. It's about being authentic and being you. And honestly, Peter, you and Ninja Selling, I think, are the best sales organization out there, man. And we really appreciate you being here, dude.
Well, I'm really excited. I'm glad this came together. It was serendipitous, and I'm just excited to be here. Thank you so much.
Awesome. So Peter, we were having a conversation yesterday, Peter Mendiola, and Peter Parnegg was talking about, just the adjustments that he's had to make in his business, and how everybody continually uses the word pivot and all this different stuff, and he was just talking about he has made adjustments in the way he sees how business should be done in this market, and that's why I was most excited about. So I'm thinking we just turn it right over to Peter Parnegg right now and let you get rolling, buddy.
So thank you very much. Two things I want to say is everything that I talk about is always through the lens of Ninja. And I got licensed in 1978, and it would be only appropriate to start with a cheesy real estate joke. Realtors don't grow old, they just grow listless, which is our lead in to today's conversation about inventory and lack of inventory. If you've never, hi, Teresa, there you go. I'm getting the chat stream here. What's important about what we want to talk about today is we do believe, and interestingly, I've heard already 3 or 4 economic forecasts. I was talking to Chuck yesterday, that 2021 will continue to be a pretty raging market. All of the symptoms are in place that should keep us in a great place. And so what we're going to talk about today are tools, very specific tools that will help you thrive in the low inventory market. And more importantly, most of the things I'm going to talk about are straight out of Ninja. And some of them you might be unfamiliar with. For example, a real estate review. I won't have the time to truly explain what that is, but it is one of the core value-added pieces that we're discovering that creates transactions. And hi, Lance, I see you. It's nice to see you, honey. You're looking good this morning. Corey as well. So let me put up the PowerPoint so that you can watch something rather than me talking, which frankly I think will be more interesting. And then what Chuck and I have agreed is that anytime there's a question, he's going to pop out and we'll just have a side conversation. Do you see something that looks like Ninja Selling on the screen?
We're good.
Beauty. Awesome. All right, here we go. So I'm Peter Parnegg. I owned and operated the largest coldwell banker, actually the largest real estate company in New Mexico for about 20 years. I was introduced to Ninja in 2009. And I think this is important. Almost every one of us who've been in the business for a long time, we struggled with finding a productivity system that we could hitch our wagon to. And depending on how long you've been in the business, you know, my very first sort of trainer was a guy named Tommy Hopkins. For those of you who go back into the, as we say, in the middle 1900s, Tommy showed up, and then I was introduced to a guy named Floyd Wickman. You may remember Floyd, you know, Sweat Hogs. And then along came Joe Stumpf, who was a predecessor to Brian Buffini. And then, as I like to say, along came the fairies. Mike first, who scared me within an inch of my life. I said, if this is what it takes to do real estate, I tapped out. It may work, but it was just terrifying. And then Tom came along. And so what we've all been trying to do is figure out, is there a system that we can attach ourselves to that is consistent with our heart? Because as we say, people love to buy, but they hate to be sold. And almost every training system prior to Ninja was about learning better selling techniques, learn how to prospect, learn how to close, learn how to overcome objections. And what I like to say is, who likes to be closed and who likes to be overcome? People don't like that. So our lens of Ninja is we are what we think is the most true and holistic selling system. It's not technique, it's a process in the marketplace. So everything I'm going to talk about will refer to the core Ninja tenets. If you've been through the installation, this is familiar to you. If it isn't, there's a whole bunch of things we can do. So today I want to talk about finding inventory, generating listings the Ninja way. As Chuck already mentioned, the industry way right now is to buy leads. We call this the industry mosh pit. And everybody is selling you, and I still get probably 3 emails a day to get the best vetted leads possible, how to vet your leads, et cetera, et cetera. And we're all scrambling thinking that the place to go is to the internet for leads. We think that that is a low return on time. It may work, but it's arguably exhausting. For us at Ninja, really it's all about cultivating relationships. And our view is from one of the great...
Tell Corey that you muted Peter. Corey, I think you muted Peter, buddy.
Yeah, all right. I'm unmuted. Am I back?
You're back.
You're back.
Okay. That really, it's dig your well before you're thirsty. I heard something yesterday that I'd never heard before. And the question is, when do you plant a tree? Either 10 years ago or today. And so what I'd like for us to contemplate is everything, no matter where you are in your business, start today by focusing on the people who know you. Start today by adding value to the people that you know, and quit saying or emailing, I am getting 5 or 10 emails a day because I'm on a bunch of mailing lists. Now it's a great time to list. Well, if you look at that through the lens of Ninja, who is that about? That's about you getting a commission and has nothing to do with solving a problem for your customers. And so please, let's not say things like, it's the best time ever to sell your house, because we're not here to sell people's houses. What we're here to do is to get them to the next chapter in their life. And if the lens that you look through your real estate business is about helping people get from where they are to where they want to go, rather than getting a listing, That's the first step in the Ninja way. So I'm going to share you 10 ways that ninjas generate listings. Everything I'm going to show you is high quality, it's inexpensive, and it will create for you a continuous flow of buyers and sellers, which is what we're really trying to do. You may or may not know this, but step number one is this idea of a warm list. Now, if you've never been introduced to a hot list and a warm list, one of the things we know is that we have a pretty good possibility of predicting when people might need to move. And what we call this is our warm list. And I want to kind of talk to you about what a warm list is and flow is. A warm list is a technique that I'm going to show you where we can anticipate people's needs based on change in their lives. And for us, flow by definition is frequency of interaction. And so the core listing generator are our Ninja 9. And for those of you who've been through Ninja and you've maybe fallen off the wagon, the 5 daily and 4 weekly habits are the key to creating inventory. So I want to go through the 5, and then I'm going to go through the 4, and I show you how each of them is the best generator for listings. If you remember, our goal is to start every morning focusing on things we're grateful for and writing our affirmation. Puts us in the right mindset. Number 2, and this is so critical right now during the pandemic, everybody's normal routine has been shattered. In March, when this started, we all thought, oh, this will be fine by the summer. And then we all went into lockdown, and then we thought, great, the summer will be fine. And then we were worried about going broke. And all of a sudden in July and August, we had this crazy market. Nothing about this year has been predictable. And so one of the things to do is to go back and create routine. And we believe that the most important thing is to start every morning, 9 to 10:30, with time blocking to do your customer service calls and do the relationship building. If you've fallen off the wagon of 2 personal notes, I cannot urge you enough to pick that back up. You know, during the pandemic, one of the big moments when we were fully locked down was the thrill of going to our mailbox and getting mail again. There's been this huge cycle over the last 10 years where everybody said, oh my God, junk mail, all the things I get in my mail. And then all of a sudden, where does all the junk mail go now? To your email inbox. And live mail has power that it hasn't had before. And so who do you send a personal note to? Anybody who's helped you, anybody that crosses your mind, anybody that literally has made a difference to you in your life. And if we take our mindset and say, it's not about looking for business, but it's about looking for creating connection. I'm going to give you a nugget that I heard the other day that has blown my mind. And here's what it is. Marketing creates awareness. Relationships create business. And I thought that was so powerful because we all think that marketing creates business. It does not. So everything you're going to see now is about building relationships. Now, if you don't have a hot list and a warm list, I'm going to talk about those mechanically in a few minutes and what to do with that. But a warm list may be one of the most powerful things you could do right now to anticipate needs, and we're going to talk through that. So success habit number 5 daily is to look at a warm list. If you've never built a warm list, I'm going to show you what that is in a second. So these are what we call the Ninja 5. And if we do this every day, it generates business, it puts us in the right frame of mind, and most importantly, it gives us a process to follow for ourselves. Because what happened during the pandemic is we became so on accident because we were grappling with, we call this the new abnormal. And we've been grappling with the new abnormal, and it's been changing by the day. This gives you some bedrock to land on. Now, the weekly habits are focused on your client service calls, and I'm going to go through those in just a second. Those are your post-closing, those are your active clients, and those are your referral source calls. The magic that I want to talk about is 2 live real estate reviews, and live for the purpose of the conversation is either Zoom or in person, depending on rules, ordinances, your tolerance, your client's tolerance for masks, distancing. I'm going to put that as an underlying agreement that that's up to you. So when I say live, it means not an email, it means voice to voice or face to face. Then we have to resume the idea of picking up the phone and calling people and connecting with them. I want to give you a little change in mindset right now that we've uncovered that I think is really great.
Oh my gosh. Muted. Corey? Can you tell Corey that he muted Peter?
Peter, you're muted.
Yeah, it gives me a notification whenever it happens. When you pick up the phone and call people right now, let's change our introduction from how's it going, how are you doing? We've been using that for a lifetime. But what we know about what I call the 2 Ps, which are the pandemic and the politics, there has never been a time when people have been more emotional than the last 9 months. So our recommendation right now is to quit saying, hey, how you doing? Because when you ask that question, you know what they say? Pretty good, not bad. And it doesn't create an in-depth interaction. People are craving interaction right now because of the stay-at-home orders. They miss interactions more than they ever have. So instead, when you pick up the phone and you call somebody, say, how are you feeling right now about everything that's going on? And what it will do, it will give you a very different conversation than you've been having, because everybody's feelings are on their shirt sleeves. They're raw. They want to talk about it. And this will give you a meaningful interaction that's very different. So rule change number 1, these are abnormal times, so let's not ask the same old question. And then if they start talking, don't share your opinion, just listen. And then I'm going to show you what's going to happen as a result of that, because I'm going to show you what causes real estate transactions. And then the last thing is to update your database and look for property matches. So if you're familiar with the Ninja 9, 5 of these create listings, and let's go through that. So if you'll do the Ninja 9 consistently, you will have an overflow of business. Most of us do maybe the Ninja 2 or maybe the Ninja 3, but if we follow the system, here's what we know. If you work the system will work for you. So here's the big question. What drives the real estate market? Most people think that it's the economy. But the fact of the matter is, it is not the economy that drives it, it's change that drives it. Pain and pleasure in people's lives. And there has never been a time when people have rethought about their personal house more than the last 9 months. Because when people are forced to work at home, when they're forced to homeschool, when they're forced, for example, to not be able to go on trips, all of a sudden the fact that they don't live in a walking area bugs them about their house. So here's the key. We are looking for change in our conversations, because change is what creates a real estate transaction. And our job, as we say at Ninja, we're masters at anticipating and recognizing change. So your warm list is the number 1 way to start anticipating change. And let me walk you through what that is. These are people who want to buy and sell, but they may not know it yet. For example, somebody who has been at stay at home and they've been arguing with their partner because they hate the kitchen. And the kitchen was fine when they were eating at home 1 night a week, but now that they're in their home and eating 7 nights a week, they really discover how much they hate it. They haven't decided yet to buy or sell, but you will know that because there's change afoot. And that's what our job is. So a warm list is people that may want to buy in the next year, and we're going to use our version of predictive analytics to understand this. The key is they may not know it, but you do. So how do we do this? We're going to do a technique called a move score. And we're going to make a core assumption that you have a database. And let me footnote everything I'm going to say from here on out. If you don't have your database built, because a ton of people don't, spend the next 2 weeks in getting it in shape. That is the number 1 thing you can do, because you really can't be a ninja without a database. And so here's what you would do. You're going to go through your database. And in there, you're going to ask 16 questions. I'm going to send this to Chuck in a second. If you've been to Ninja, It's a 16 questions these people probably will want to buy or sell in the next year. And there are 16 questions to ask of every person on your database. And if they answer yes, for example, they've lived in the same house for 7 years or more, they've had an upsize in their company, they've had new children, they've had people move out, they've had people move in, we believe that we can predict accurately the likelihood of people who will probably thinking about moving. And then you can do a real estate review for them. So first thing is to do move scores. Most of the managers on the call know how to do that, but this is a fantastic way to take your database, literally do the name on one cell, put the hash marks here, and then you ask all 16 questions of everybody on your database. This will take an hour, but you will discover 15 or 20 people who are likely to move that you can focus on. Now, second thing we believe about Facebook. Facebook, we think, is the most amazing resource for pain and pleasure in the world. People are talking all the time about what they do and don't like, and they talk about real estate. So our view on on Facebook is to talk less and listen more. In other words, don't be getting yourself in the posting and the liking stream. What you want to do is notice the pain and pleasure that they're talking about, and then pick up the phone and call them. Don't jump in. I laugh. I see all these posts where a mother and a daughter will have just gone through graduation because, a lot of people graduated from college in December and they didn't get to walk. And there's this beautiful picture of the family. And then 19 people say, "What a lovely family. You look so beautiful together." Well, you are completely undifferentiated when you do that. So our recommendation is quit just jumping into the like stream, but either send a personal note or pick up the phone and say, "I saw the picture of your daughter. How's she feeling about her graduation?" My daughter graduated from college 3 weeks ago, and she got to walk in her bedroom with her cap and gown on with two people. It was the most deflating experience after finishing college. And she did a great job about it, but what a great conversation to have with somebody. How's your daughter feeling about her graduation from high school or from college? Because you know what then happens in that conversation? They go, we're empty nesters now, or everybody's moved home and we've hated our home. I want to drill an idea through all of our heads. It's not about the information. It's not about the comment. It's about the conversation. So everything at Ninja is about giving an opportunity for the conversation, because they don't text or they don't reply in Facebook, "Oh, by the way, I'm thinking about selling my house." That isn't how the game is played. So success habit number 2 are your client service calls. And those are your active customers, you're just recently closed, and the people who've referred them to you. The benefits, it starts down the road of giving fabled service, because our number one goal at Ninja is to create value that people talk about behind our back. It reduces interruptions because you are controlling the outgoing calls, and it is a killer referral generator. So if you are unfamiliar with the Ninja habit number 6, again, your manager can share that with you. But our goal is to time block in the morning and control our outgoing calls. If you recall, we love to give something called a non-update update call that takes you from a good service provider to a fabled service provider. So what do we think the best source of referrals are? You might remember what your reticular activating system is. What that is that group of cells in your brain stem that is always searching for things that are valuable to you. Every realtor I know hears every conversation about real estate within a quarter of a mile. It's just our reticular activating system is wide open. But here's what the key is. Anybody who is buying or selling, your active clients, they're talking about real estate every day. And those are your best source of referrals. We have a belief that because they're in the process just with you, their reticular activating system is just as open as yours. So what you want them to do is to refer you while you're in the transaction. You're in flow with them if you're doing a good job. And here's the mega brilliant thing. Harris Interactive did a study and they said that every person in America knows 4 people who will move this year. So the mindset at Ninja is, how do I access and earn? It isn't, they're not obligated to give you the referral. You have to earn their referral. And so here's what we know. There's an infinite supply of business if you can access and earn those referrals. Remembering that every person knows a dozen agents. How do I rise to the top? Our mindset is, my next transaction is embedded in this transaction.
Jonathan, you have to take that cup. That's an antique.
So the way we create that is we do a real estate review. For those of you who aren't familiar with the real estate review, this is an unsolicited, in other words, it's an offering of value to your great clients and customers. They do not have to be past, and by the way, we never call them past customers anymore, past clients.
Go ahead.
There we go. All right. Yeah. So real estate reviews, they do 3 things, and here's what they are. We make a mistake in the business that believing that the information in the real estate market is so easy to get to because of Zillow and websites. But I would challenge you all to first of all, agree with me that Zillow is intensely out of date all the time because they leave active listings on the site for months to generate referrals on, lead sales. So if you are not a realtor, it is actually fairly difficult to find out what happened in your neighborhood in the last year. We think it's easy, but it isn't. So a real estate review is nothing more than a printout of everything that has happened in a person's neighborhood in the last 12 months. Why this is so important is we have never seen appreciation and demand like we're seeing it now. And what we realized is most people do not understand how much equity they have. Here's some crazy statistics. 60% of Americans right now have over 60% equity in their houses. There is this crazy untapped wealth that people are unaware of unless you point it out to them. So our suggestion is 2 a week. You do real estate reviews for people you like, that you know, they trust you, and you call them up and you say, hey, I did a report of everything that sold in your neighborhood in the last year. I'd love to share it with you because I think you'd find it fascinating. They're going to ask you, well, what do you think my house is worth? And your answer can be, I don't know yet. I haven't seen your house, but if you'd like, I could give you a great market analysis. And so this isn't about emailing a summary. It's about picking up the phone, positioning yourself as a trusted advisor, building your relationship. And this too is an amazing referral generator. And frankly, there's never been a better time than right now to do this because the market is just, well, One of our managers here is in production, and she does real estate reviews, and she's had crazy success, and I want to share how she does it. She starts with her top 50, whether it's clients or friends, her A people. Then she follows our 5-step calling process, which you're probably aware of, and then she offers to meet them at their home. In other words, and I know right now with the pandemic that may be inappropriate, but a lot of people still with a mask on might welcome that, but you give them an opportunity. I could do it by Zoom. We could meet at, say, a Starbucks if you're even allowed to go to a Starbucks, or I could come to your home and bring a small gift. Use your judgment here, but the key is it's voice to voice or face to face, in person or Zoom. Then what she's discovered is when she says, hey, I'd come to your home if you want to. We can stay 6 feet apart. I've got an N95. And then they might go, no, we're not comfortable with that. And then say, hey, let me just show you this thing by Zoom. I'm going to send it over and then we can talk about it. Underscore one more time. It's not about the report. It's about the conversation. A lot of people were discovering, especially if you sold them their home or were involved in the transaction and haven't been there 2 or 3 years, they want to show you their remodels. They want to show it to you and ask your opinion. But here's the third thing. You may have what we call a buyer match. You go to their home, you see the home, and you go, oh my gosh. And at that point, you can say, you may have no interest in selling this. It's beautiful. But if I had a buyer that was curious about this home, would you have any interest in at least entertaining a conversation? And at that point, I may say, no, we're totally happy. Or they might go, well, we would entertain it, but we're not sure where we would move. Here's what we're discovering. There's something known as the ripple effect. When you do a real estate review for somebody, often they share it with their neighbor. And in this case, and let's go back to differentiation. The reason they share it with their neighbor is no other realtors are doing real estate reviews. All the other realtors are in the industry mosh pit buying leads, while you are out there one by one creating value for your people because you're giving them something they want. So in this case, Pam's client, the person she did the review, showed the neighbor her review because they were talking about real estate. And I don't know about you, but in the last 8 months, I have made friends with 5 of my neighbors. Last summer, we were doing on the lawn dinners 10 feet away, and I would never have done that with a neighbor. So I now have a better relationship with 5 of my neighbors than I ever have. Interestingly, if I were not in the real estate business and an agent did this with me, I would say, hey, I got to tell you some good news. The appreciation has been crazy. So this is what happened for Pam. Her neighbor, not the person she did the report for, lists the home with Pam for $3.6 million, and she double ends it. All because she did a real estate review, not for the client, but for the neighbor next door. So I think that's a pretty good outcome for a 10-minute report. So our results are as follows. If you will do them virtually or face-to-face, 1 in 3 turns into a referral, a listing, or a buyer. If you just call them up and mail them and then do a phone call, you still get pretty good results. But here's the key. If you just mail it or email it, it's almost a don't bother. There are no results there. It's a customer avoidance technique. And in this market, it's just a blast to tell people how much their property is appreciated. So let's talk about number 4, 50 live interviews, picking up the phone and talking to people. Now, again, we have become so text-oriented and so email-oriented that the glory and beauty of creating connection by live interviews is both powerful and rare. And so all we're going to do is pick up the phone, say, I haven't talked to you during the whole pandemic. I've thought about you about 5 times. And by the way, my birthday was on Wednesday, and Peter Mendiola sent me a birthday text in front of 400 people. Peter, love you, brother. That was awesome. That's a perfect connection move. But what we're going to do is pick up the phone and say, I've been thinking about you. Every time I did, I got distracted, and I made an agreement I was going to pick up the phone and call you today. How are you feeling right now during the pandemic with the 2 Ps, with all the politics? How are you feeling? Jennifer Peterson just said, I find that 3 phone calls a week is all I can do because it lasts 30 minutes. How long should these calls last? As long as they take. And that is just beautiful. If people are willing to talk to you for 30 minutes, you know what it means? You're a good listener and you're getting great connection. And if you do 3 a day, that is money. Your job is to listen for change, pain and pleasure. Our house is a little too small. And then please refrain from going, well, do you want to sell it? Instead, ask, tell me when you say too small. Tell me about how it's feeling, and be human here. So now, the cool thing about it is going back to Ford questions. Ford is free. And remember what FORD stands for? Family, occupation, recreation, dreams. How's your family during the pandemic? How's work? Are you commuting? Are you working at home? Have you been able to do anything fun that you like to do? Tell me what you have coming up that you're excited about. Those are F&O and RD. Go back and do that because that's where the magic happens. Now, we used to say that these magic questions you can ask at lunch, you can ask at a party, you can ask, there's the masked wedding, you can ask at a game, but you can also just ask these on a conversation. And people right now, as I said, because they're so emotionally raw, they're saying, we used to love our house, but gosh, we realized that we don't like this about it. Here's what we love. After you've asked them forward questions, you might say, hey, let me ask you a question. What are your long-term plans for your house now? Sounds like maybe you're rethinking that. We love this question because it leads into Well, let me ask you a question. If you could wave a magic wand and live anywhere, where would that be? This question opens their reticular activating system and says, well, we live off the lake, or we live off the ocean. We live blank. If we could live closer to blank, we would consider that. So this question is put somebody in a pretend state. And if you can grab this question, I think it's intensely powerful. And then the third question that is so relevant afterwards is, so let me ask you a question. This is the lowest interest rates have been in the history of recorded Fannie Mae history. Have you thought of doing something sooner than later? Or let me ask you a question. Are you really living in the home you want to live in? There's never been a time where you have more buying power than you do now. So these three questions, when you're having these live interviews, are really powerful. And I'd encourage you to keep them in your pocket, because they will create a texture and a direction in the conversation that is so different from how's it going? How's it doing? And it's just a better way to do it. So when you take a listing, here's what we know is that listings inspire neighbors to move, because they see the listing come up and it opens a conversation. So if you have this idea that my next listing is embedded in this listing, what do we do about it? Here's what we suggest. And this you have to do based on the pandemic and your own rules in your neighborhood. But we believe that the old meet the neighbors idea is a great idea, but we're doing it differently now. And even with a mask on, if you rang the door with your mask on and said, hey, as part of my service, I don't know if you've noticed this, but I took a listing down the street and I wanted to share it with you because you might be curious. And most importantly, again, I understand that you may not be able to do open houses right now, but this too shall pass. And when it does, let's be prepared. But most importantly, I want to have you associate a face with the name. I'm Peter Parnegg. I listed the house down from you. Here's a brochure if you might be curious. And most importantly, if you have any questions about real estate, about what's going on in the market, I'd be more than happy to answer them. What we've discovered is even if you just knock the 5 or 6 or 8 doors around you and you follow proper protocol, dress nicely, and have your mask on, because we are locked down in Colorado. We cannot have more than 10 people in a room at any time. We are way clamped down, and our realtors are having success with this if done properly. Here's the most important thing. What we've discovered is that agents around the country are getting really lazy with their listings because they know they're going to sell in 2 hours. So what we believe is that how you bring your listing to the market is one way to get listings, because most buyers are potential sellers. And if you bring your, Corey, you're not allowed to go door to door in California. There you go. That answers that. Not ever again, or just not now. So maybe you can't do that.
Just not now.
Just not now. Okay. You could still get phone numbers maybe and call, but just think about this. Why we say bring your A game is when people are cheaping out, they're not having the floor plan done. They're not doing the expensive video. They're not staging it because they know this thing's going to sell anyway. What you're missing is that because the new normal or the new abnormal is low quality service and bringing a listing to the market, when the buyer goes into the listing, they may not be willing or want to use their current buyer's agent for their listing agent, because maybe it's at Redfin, or maybe it's at Homey, or maybe it's at some discount thing. And when you bring your A game for your listing and you do all the things you would do in a slow market, that's where discovering is gaining listings. So our lesson here is don't cheap out. Bring your A game, even if the listing will sell tomorrow. Because how you do anything is how you do everything. Because remember, 2 out of 3 are sellers, and the neighbors are potential sellers. So if they call their person that they don't love and they go through the house to look at it, or they call you, they're judging how you are marketing your listings. Now, Chuck and I talked about this. You can't do open houses now, but like I said, by the summer, I think we're going to be largely vaccinated, and let's go back to open houses. And so just because you can't do them now doesn't mean we throw away the technique. One of the things that we're doing with great success is managing when we bring a house to market. And we do something called a Curious Neighbor Open House. And it's the old private open house. It's not a coming soon, and this complies with NAR guidelines on coming soons. But what you do when you take the listing is you say, Mr. Seller, here's what I would like to do. I would like to plan and strategize when we're going to bring this live on the market down to the minute. And so what I'd like to do is that when the house is ready to bring to the market, and again, I understand we have some rules in place, but think in the longer perspective. I want your house to be ready to bring to the market. We are going to place it for sale at 5:15 on Friday afternoon. We're going to put it live in MLS. I will have invited all the neighbors to a private party from 5:30 to 7. So essentially the house will be on the market and legal, but we're going to give a chance for the neighbors to have a peek inside. And so instead of just putting the house on the market and making it live when it feels like it, you control the process. So we've been doing this for about 2 years, and our results are amazing. In this most recent one to a neighborhood, our agent said 120 invitations, 48 people showed up, again, when this is legal. The $500,000 listing sold to a friend in the neighborhood, so the agent double-ended it, and they got 2 more listing appointments. They sold at $50,000 over the list price. So think about this, about controlling your process to create listings. Now, here's what we know. Almost everybody starts with an internet search. If they like it, then 75% drive by. 63% still walk through it. They prefer an open house when you can do it. I know that you're having the phenomenon of people writing offers with sight unseen because it's all over the country. Right now they're pre-qualified. They've gone to Bubba's Mortgage or someplace, or Rocket Mortgage or Quicken Loans. But here's the key, 65% of them have a house to sell. So I want to show you the 6 magic questions that, whether it's a virtual open house, whether it's face-to-face, but these are the best open house questions, or any version of them that we've seen. And it doesn't mean you have to ask them in person, but it means you have to have them in your pocket. The first one is, let me ask you a question. I notice you're out looking and you've called me. Has any agent given you a buyer's packet of information? This differentiates you profoundly. If you have your buyer's packets built, great, but I would urge you to spend the time to build your buyer's packets of information. Let me ask you a question. Are you from the neighborhood? Are you from San Diego? Are you from Chula Vista, et cetera? Yes, no, great. And let me ask you a question. Will you be needing to sell to purchase, or are you going to be keeping if you own your home? Let me ask you a question. Has anybody given you an idea of value and equity? And then fourth, instead of saying, let me do a CMA for you, would it be valuable to know what your real equity is? Because remember, at Ninja, we're about adding value, and this change in wording is really powerful, because it doesn't feel like a salesperson, it feels like somebody offering value. And then you can say, hey, again, I know that we've got rules on, but I would be more than happy to swing by your house, take a look, and then I could provide an estimate of value for you. That might help you with your decision-making process. Now, our mindset was back in the day when we could have open houses, that I have an open house from 1 to 4, and I have listing appointments from 4 to 6. Take your buyer's packets and take your listing packets. Again, this will return. This too shall pass. You know, my comment is, last March 10th, which is when we locked down here in Colorado, we thought, oh, this will be over by the summer. We are coming around a year, and yet we've all managed to survive. The next 3 months will fly by, and so let's dig our well before we're thirsty. So here's a really important and easy one that we all used to do, but I think we forgot about it. It's out-of-town owners. Target a neighborhood, get your title company to do a list of owners, and they can tell you whether it's owner-occupied or not. And we love the idea of, you know, the 20 people that are out of area that own the house, contact them and say, hey, you know, I've taken a picture of your property. I don't know if anybody has done a market analysis for you to give you a sense of your equity. But I'd love to do that to you. And you can, this is kind of a cute postcard that we've seen created. Have you seen your Collins investment property lately? Call me, I'll send you a digital photograph, something like this. In other words, reach out to the out of area owners. Here's another thing that we are discovering, that agents are really afraid of iBuyers. But when you are talking to sellers right now, their number one fear is, well, if I sell my house, can I replace it? And so we have a 5-step question around that. And, you know, some of them, we don't want to have them go to an iBuyer behind our back. So we're suggesting create a relationship with the iBuyers in your area and be the source of referral. If they say, hey, I understand we could sell our house, we would be able to move out when we wanted and use this with an iBuyer. And you can say, well, let's do the analysis for you. I could bring an iBuyer here. Let me show you what it's going to cost you. And then I'm going to give you some decisions on doing that. So we think that a source of listings would be to, instead of being afraid of the iBuyer, create a relationship with them. You'll get the listing. You may have to pay the referral fee, but we don't think that's a bad idea. So if you have a guaranteed move thing, that's a terrific idea, but nevertheless, the iBuyers. Now, let's talk about what we call the 4 stages of the moving process. The curiosity is probably more rampant in the market right now because of how quickly things are selling. People have been at their house, in their home, and they're talking more about housing than they've ever talked about. And the curiosity phase is when the partners, the people in the house, husband, wife, are going, well, what if we sold? Then the interest phase happens when they go, well, yeah, we could do that. I could see us moving. The desire phase moves to, let's figure out what it would take. I want to do it. Okay. But then what's most importantly is they all get to the how do we do it? The key is they know 12 realtors, and your job is to be the person of choice that they pick up the phone and say, we're not sure if we want to sell, but could you walk us through the process of what would that look like? And so guaranteed moves are a great way to say we can help you with that and take the fear out of it, whether it's an iBuyer. We know about guaranteed moves. Nobody ever does it because all they want to know is help with the process. So if you don't have a guaranteed move program, just embrace the iBuyers, be proactive. And when we are now asking the question in our listing consultation, have you considered selling to an institutional investor? Why do we use those words? Because we need them to know that this is an investor and they expect a return on it. You will not net as much with an iBuyer as you will with me handling the sale. So make sure you include that in your vocabulary. You probably remember that builder relationships are a great way. 50% of new home buyers have a house to sell. Don't ignore that. Builders need help with resales. So contact the builders in your area and just say, hey, do you have a preferred realtor? If not, I'd love to offer my services. We have a regional reach, etc. Don't forget that. And here's our number 10 place that I think we've been overlooking: investors. So the question that is asked all the time, well, why would any real estate investor want to sell their property right now? Well, let me go through them, right? We have held investor workshops here in Colorado since 2009. We have sold over 3,200 properties that have been purchased by investors, and we have helped our clients gain over $400 million in appreciation. But you know what? Circumstances change. So the magic wand question when you're talking to an investor especially is, I did a rough estimate and it looks like you have about $197,000 of equity in your rental properties, just a rough estimate. Let me ask you a question. If you could wave a magic wand and you had that money, what would you do with it? So when you're talking to an investor, don't make the assumption that they don't want to sell. Instead, put them in the pretend state with your magic wand question. And here's what we have discovered. Generally, there are a dozen options for a response. Number one, I'm good to go. I love my properties. I've got great tenants. They're appreciating like mad. Terrific. Keep them. Number two, well, I've got two that are free and clear. is it true that the interest rates are at 2.75%? Yes. Well, heck, let's refinance, pull some equity out and buy some more. Excellent. Number 3, I had an investor recently say, I'm going to sell my 2 rentals and I'm going to buy my dream forever home. Now's the time to do it. It's the perfect time. I can borrow a jumbo mortgage at 3%. I've got about $800,000 in equity. I'm all good on buying my $2 million house right now. Or same thing, but I've always wanted a second home. Let's sell 2 and buy a dream home. Actually, let's exchange into them. I want to sell them to pay for my kids' college. Number 6, I want to pay off my student loans. It's time with the equity where it is. I didn't realize it. What a great choice I could use them for. Guess what? All of these are listing generators because we're looking for inventory here. Number 7, I want to pay off some personal debt that we've acquired. There's a listing. I want a different type. I've got 5 single families. I want to buy a 4-plex. I think we may be at the peak, and let's take advantage right now. I'd rather leave a little money on the table than sell it on the downside. What do you think about that? What I'd like to do is sell 2 because I have 5. I can pay off the loans, and I'm at that time in my life when I just want to be debt free. 11, could you rig up an installment sale for me? Nothing would make me happier than getting $2,500 a month from this property over 30 years. And finally, I do need to sell because I'm going to invest in another business. So the point of this is that if you look at this, 9 of these generate listings. Don't make the assumption because the market is great that every investor wants to keep their property. And the most important thing is this doesn't happen in an email. It happens in a live conversation. So our goal, and I want you to think about this, is to help our people and our clients go from the life they have to the life they dream about. Quit thinking about yourself as a transaction-based deal peddler, and instead think about a relationship where your job is to help people get them from where they are to where they want to go. And all of a sudden, the possibilities for listings and transactions just open up dramatically. So the 10 ways that ninjas generate listings is we keep our warm list. We do our client service calls. We provide real estate reviews. We are in live flow with people every week. We remember that our next listing is embedded in this listing. Bring your A game. When it's time, do the modern open house. Number 7, out-of-town owners. Number 8, make sure that you don't alienate iBuyers. Number 9, focus on builder resales, and investors. So here's what we know. The system works. If you work the system will work for you. So let's finish this up now with any questions.
Peter, thanks. I don't know about everybody else, but so I don't know if you can see this, but 1, 2, 3, 4 pages of notes I took there. So excellent stuff. I know
Awesome.
You have a lot of Ninja fans on the call. Teresa and a lot of different people. Does anybody have any questions for Peter right now? Because this is your opportunity.
Peter, I do. Vicky Carpenter.
Okay, Vicky, go for it first, Vicky.
Hey, Peter. How you? I know you're feeling well. So, listen, 2 things. I want to tell you that the market reviews, I do that, and that's a percentage of my business each year. So that stuff works. So thank you for reminding me this year to start it again. You said don't call your clients, your former clients, past clients. I don't know if I heard what do you call them instead?
Well, there's an interesting mindset, Vicky. Thank you for picking up on that. That's a ninja. Notice the subtle and the hidden. It's really funny. Does a doctor call their patients past patients? Does the dentist? That is such a classic transaction mindset. And we are trying to change ourselves to relationship. We know that there are laws about we only have a client when we have a written agency agreement. But setting that aside, the mindset is, these are my clients. They're not my past clients. And it is a mindset shift that everybody you do business with is somebody to think of them as a client, not a past client. It's a word mindset shift. Does that make any sense?
Got it.
Thank you.
Okay, next question. There were a bunch
More
of
than
people.
a question, Peter, I wanted to share exactly that. The real estate review absolutely works. That's what I tell the agents to do. Don't give them the CMA. If you give them too much, they don't need you anymore. So the realtor review is key. Absolutely. And the one thing that I would love to hear you talk a little bit about is the Monday morning agenda, because it's quite an eye opener on how you're doing.
So let's address them A and B. I'm going to do a sort of a shameless plug right now, if that's all right with you. The last year, it's actually been a 2-year project, has to create an online streaming resource center for ninjas. And we have now finally done it. It's called Ninja U, Y-O-U. You can go to u.ninja selling, or you can download the Ninja app in either Google Play or at the Apple Store. But what we've created is the ultimate resource center for skills, how to do a real estate review, how to do the funnel process. Some of it is free. We have these amazing interviews with ninjas around the country who are doing the system, and they give you very detailed. Some of it is paid. You can become a subscriber. Larry did the most amazing business planning section I've ever seen in my career, which is, John Strassman, Ninja is a great resource. Thank you, John. A business planning session that was the best I'd literally ever seen. It's included if you do an annual membership. You can buy it still standalone for the next 15 days if you're interested in it. But a real estate review is nothing more than a report of activity in an area. People get wrapped around the axle because they think they have to do a CMA. Here's the key. You haven't been in the house for 3 years, so you can't do a CMA. Don't try to. All you're doing is saying, hey, Karen, here's everything that's gone on in your market for the last year. I'd love to share it with you. I'm going to give it to you. Why don't you look at it? And you have any questions, I can flesh it out. But the most important thing, it's a conversation starter. It's not about the report. And if you can get that locked in your mind, because here's how it happens. You're talking along and they go, wow, that house sold for $850. Wow. And you'll be talking. And then almost as a sidebar, they might go, well, do you think it's a good time to sell? And that question would not have come up if you had just sent the report. And it may be 15 minutes into the conversation that comes up because they feel comfortable, you're there. So that's the key to a real estate review. And the Monday morning agenda is really about getting a control of your time and time blocking for the week. And what we know is that most of us are on accident agents every day. We kind of wake up and go, okay, I've got a couple of appointments. I got to make a few calls and I got to get this CMA done, but there's no core structure. And if I were to just put one last conversation on this in the 2 minutes we have left, when in doubt, do the Ninja 9. The morning agenda connects you by structure to the Ninja 9. One of our coaches has come up with this beautiful thing, and I want to, there you go. This is a cool idea. Your database is your central nervous system. Your hot and warm list are the heartbeat of your business, and flow is the oxygen for your business. And I thought, boy, what a great way to put it. When we are starting to come back out and do live courses, and as soon as by regulation we can have them, it is probably worth sharing. I did get COVID. I went and did an installation in Arizona. We had masks, we had face shields, and sure as heck, Penny Lathan, we're the heart surgeon. I got it. I got a mild case. I don't have a great deal of interest in getting it a second time. But sometime late spring, we'll be back in business, and then we'll come and do an installation again. Awesome. Everything else we're doing is small pieces.
Awesome. Peter, we're getting a lot of people that are asking for things like a copy of your presentation and all that. But here's what I think we should do. I know that Coldwell Banker West, who's on the call, they have this recorded, so you guys can go back and watch it. And we did talk to Peter about maybe trying to put something together, to Corey too, Peter, about maybe having, some form of a virtual. There's a lot of people that want to join Ninja, so we need to talk about that.
Well, this is it.
Yeah, I mean, so we all.
Well, here's the
wanna do
key.
that.
I'm going to.
We need to have an installation, I think, guys. I think we need to do that soon.
A virtual
Yeah,
installation.
let's look for maybe late summer, early fall. Here's what I'd like to suggest. I'm going to send to Peter and to Chuck. We have a handout that connects to this, that will remind you with the notes and the fill-ins. If you watch it recorded again, you can fill it out and it'll have all the stuff there. So I'll get that to both of you immediately for you to share with everybody, okay?
Awesome. And Peter, one thing I did want to tell everybody out there is if you are at CB West, this is recorded. It's in their library. It's in the library for Coldwell Banker ABR. We're going to make sure that it's recorded for Coastal Alliance, Town and Country. But last but not least, also, if you're out there on Facebook Live watching it, you can also go to, if you're not in any of those closed groups, you can go to the Chuck Whitehead Show and get a copy there. So, but Peter, you're awesome, man. As always, I mean, you had over 250 people on the call. We're streaming about another 50 or so. So thank you so much. And we really appreciate you. There are a lot of people that you've helped make a lot of money. And you're great, man. You're doing good things out there for everybody. So we just wanted to say thank you very much for being on the call today.
Well, thank everybody. I'm getting all these. It's kind of like I'm family to some degree, and I thank you for everybody who I've spent time with in an installation, and I'm really looking forward to coming back. Corey and I will work on that. Peter and I will work on that, and this has been as we say, it's 2021, thank goodness, and let's just rock this year, all right?
Awesome. Well, thank you, Peter. Thank you very much, and hey, thank you guys all for tuning in. Have a great weekend. Go out there, sell something. Hopefully you can grab some of these ninja techniques and make something happen. So
wait a second, hold on.
Yes.
Wait a second, Deltrina, Ninja U, Y-O-U, not Ninja University, Ninja U. Go to the Apple Store or Google Play. It's a free download. We got a ton of free content there that's all Ninja, and it streams and it works just great. So awesome. Ninja U, Y-O-U. Awesome. Okay, I'm out.
Thanks, Peter Parnegg.
Okay, bye.
Thank you all. Have a good one.
Bye.
Take care.